So we're going to cook a porterhouse now, so a different cooking technique. If you like your steak medium, this is probably the steak for you. Okay. So pump that pan up again.
All right, I'll crank it up.
So with this one, you can see a porterhouse has got this cap of fat on the top. So we're going to use that to render out and cook our steak in it. So we're not going to add oil to the pan like we normally would, but this time you're going to have an actual job.
Okay.
You're going to have to hold a very important job. Pan's up, you're going to have to hold our steak like that and just keep that fat pushed down on the pan, and you can see there's already bubbles of oil or fat coming out of it. So we're going to render lots of that fat out. It'll help caramelise and crisp up our fat, and then we'll cook the steak in the fat that we render out, so no oil being added whatsoever.
So I've always wondered how they kept that crispy but still medium as
don't overcook the steak. Right. So you start with the fat down, the cap side down. You can see all that fat coming out, see it all being rendered out. And that's flavour. So the same way that we nappade our scotch, we're going to do the same thing with this one, but we're going to use the beef flavour from the fat to do it.
Okay.
And mate, you see on the Cape Grim packs, you've got these little QR codes. What are they all about? Part
of the great product of Cape Grim beef is that you can actually track the farm of where it came from. So the QR code on the packet can be scanned by a smartphone and can tell you the story of where that beef's from, the farm that it came off, and also information about Cape Grim.
Check that fat for me, mate. See if we're getting some colour on him. Turn him over. It's getting to crisp up, all right? A little bit longer.
So I'll push that bit down there.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit more labour intensive in getting that fat going to begin with, but then you pretty much cook it like you would cook a normal steak.
But I think it's worth it. It's worth the investment of time. Because,
absolutely.
I didn't know you had to do this, so it's it explains a lot now. So and that's what this is about, really, isn't it?
Yep, it's about learning.
It's different cuts of steak. There's a slightly different technique each time.
If you're cooking steak at home, buy good quality steak like Cape Grim, and treat it this way, and you'll have stuff which is as good as what you would have in the restaurant.
And the great thing about Cape Grim, and in particular the property that we're on today, is the grass is available all year round. So there's a constant suitable feed for the cattle to grow nice and fat on and get nice and big, ready for consumption.
All right, flip him over. We're ready to start cooking the steak itself. So now we've got it down. A little bit of salt on that side we haven't actually cooked yet, like we did before. And you can see how much smaller that line of fat is now across the back. So we've rendered all this oil out. Same thing, 2 minutes one side, 2 minutes the other, depending on how thick your porterhouse is. We had a quite thick one with this one, so probably 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes. But I'll show you a little trick that you can do in testing how it's cooked. So that's the kind of colour that we're after.
Yep.
So now we've got to make sure we're getting contact with the pan again, so pushing it down.
So we push it down.
Yep, I can season that side again. And remember that little napping you did last time, mate?
Yep, we're going to do it again.
You're up again.
Righto.
So put all that beefy goodness from the fat, from the cap, back on top. And keep basting it.
Constantly?
Constantly. I reckon we're done there, mate.
Awesome.
Pop him out onto our board again. Now we've got that resting time. So we've got about 2 minutes of resting time.
2 minutes of resting time.
And then we can get stuck into it.
I can't wait again. I'm hungry already.